Morning, students. Today we'll see about the quality control and quality assurance subject. This is the second chapter, particularly the CGMP guidelines according to the schedule M, FDA, etc. The main side readings this chapter is organization, personal responsibilities, training, hygiene, personal records, drug industry, location, construction, plant layout, maintenance, sanitation, environmental control, utilities, maintenance of sterile areas, control of contamination and good warehousing practice. We'll see one by one. Organization. We'll take any pharmaceutical industry, so it should have a proper organization. The different departments which are made in any business enterprise for the purpose of proper administration. Organization is nothing but it's deciding who is responsible for what should be in an organization. Then formulation of an effective organization structure helps the organization which accomplish specific goals or objectives. So it means by which an organization's resources are directed, monitored, and as well as measured. So it brings control consciousness in the people and enable the people to carry out their responsibilities. It helps the identification and analysis of relevant risks, the achievements of objectives, forming a basis for how the risk will be managed. The proper organization framework has to be created with clear-cut authorities, duties, as well as responsibilities. And the organization chart or organization tree, it shows the relationship between the different people who are working in an organization through all levels in an organization. So organization chart, so it is very much essential to clear the understanding of the responsibilities and reporting relationships. So all the persons who are working in an organization clearly aware of who reports to them and who whom their bosses are. That means the head. So there should be the job descriptions for all managerial as well as the supervisory staff, and a job description should state that means whoever joins the industry or any organization, what is his responsibilities. That is the only reason the job description has to be stated out. To whom the person reports, the main purpose and objectives of the job, and what are the tasks and responsibilities. So these three should be there for the job responsibility. So then let us look into the typical organization chart, how it should be in any industry or any pharmaceutical plant. So that means the first one is the plant manager, who is the head of that. And from the plant manager, it has been divided into various departments. It is nothing but the safety number one. Directly plant manager and employee safety is, sorry, first one is safety, next is material management, next production, next is employee relations, finance, engineering, uh, quality assurance, or technical director, quality assurance department. So these are the few typical organization chart. And then quality control unit. The responsibility and authority to approve or reject all components, drug product, containers, closures, in-process material, packaging materials, labeling, drug products, and the authority has to review the production records in order to assure that there should not be any errors that have occurred, or if errors have occurred in case, and they have to be they have been fully investigated in quality control. So either it may approve or reject any drug products which are manufactured or processed, packed, or held under the contract by another company, and should have the adequate laboratory facilities. That means any industry for what the testing as well as the approval of the component. That means it may approve quality control unit or it may reject any components or any drug product containers, including closures, packaging materials, and even in process material as well as the responsibilities and the procedures uh, applicable to the quality control unit it should be always in writing, and such written procedure should be shall be followed. The current good manufacturing practices focus all responsibilities for quality onto the quality control unit. A more effective approach uh, is to design quality into products during the development phase, and then to build in additional assurance during the production. The new products are usually developed by R&D unit, which will be draft appropriate specifications. Also, there must be, these must be then be reviewed as well as approved by the quality control department. So it is nothing but which serves as an independent double check on this important parameter. And within the production operations, all quality impacting procedures as well as systems, so these to be approved by the quality control unit as a standard operating procedure. That means SOPs generally we call, and process validation protocols, complaint handling, process control procedures, and even design of the things. The quality control organization structure. So it should have the quality system responsibility or involvement, laboratory system, sample management, reference standards should be there, SOPs and test methods must be defined properly, method validation as well as transfer, instrument qualification, calibration and maintenance, data analysis, records, document control, change control, contract laboratory management, site quality system, SOP, document control, master and production batch records, batch record reviews, as well as the product release. If there are any failure in the investigation, failure investigations, CAPA training, site change control, the validation, that means the facilities, equipment, computers, supplier management and control. Any if any complaints are there, that is complaints, annual product review, management notification, policies, regulatory committees, if anything, compliance. It has to comply with the policy standards and the standard audits, both internal as well as the external regulatory commitments and the documents. In brief, I just briefed about the control. So let us look into the personal responsibilities. It is a part of the CGMP guidelines according to Schedule M or USFDA or WHO. So the personal responsibilities, that is the establishment and maintenance of a satisfactory system, quality assurance and correct manufacture and control systems, uh, definitely to rely upon the people. There must be sufficient qualified person or personnel who is working in order to carry out all the tasks for which the manufacturer is responsible. The individual responsibilities should be clearly defined and understood by the persons concerned and recorded as written. What are the personal requirements? And they must have the appropriate technical or professional qualification. They should have professional qualification and they should have well trained and sufficient relevant experience should be there in that particular department, that is relevant experience, and ability to perform the whatever the task is given at a given level, and then they should have the appropriate the managerial skills. That means the personal requirement, they should be well qualified, trained, sufficient relevant experience they should have, as well as the ability to perform the given task at the given level and appropriate managerial skills. And also the general aspects, the manufacturer or industry manufacturer should have an adequate number of the personnel with the necessary qualification and the practical experience, and should be a written description of duties of all staff and adequate authority to carry out their responsibilities. There should be no gaps or overlaps in the responsibility of any person. A manufacturer should have an organization. So all the persons, whoever is working, should be aware of the principles of the GMP, that means CGMP. And the person, all the personnel should be motivated in order to support the establishment and maintenance of the high quality standards of products. And the various steps should be taken to prevent the unauthorized people who are entering or from entering the production area, storage area, as well as the quality control area. There should be a prevention. That means only unauthorized people, not for all. And the personnel who are engaged in the manufacturing processing, either in processing or packing or holding of a drug product, shall wear a very clean clothing appropriate for the duties that they perform. And the protective apparel, that means such as the head, face, hand, arm coverings, shall be worn as necessary to protect the drug products from the various contamination in the. And also appropriate uniforms or protective clothing should be provided by the manufacturer or company as needed. Protective clothing is needed. The personnel should be trained in turning or removing the protective clothing. The personnel shall practice good sanitation as well as the healthy and health habits. The employees in special clean areas should wear only the lint-free garments in order to prevent the shedding. The types of components recommended are generally whoever is person there, face masks, bed, most face covers, protective goggles, plastic gloves, covers or shoes, sterilized and non-shedding gowns, which covers the whole body. These are a few things they have recommended, and only authorized personnel who have received the appropriate and relevant training should enter the limited access area. If it is necessary for any contractor or service technician or any personnel not employed by the company, whenever there is a need not enter these areas, then they should receive the minimum training necessary to perform their job, and also uh, be accompanied by the industrial company personnel. Okay, so any person shows at any time either medical examination or supervisor should have an apparent illness or open lesson. So all personnel shall be instructed to report to the supervisory personnel any health conditions if they get that may have an adverse effect on the drug product generally. If the any person who is working and in that particular area, any health issues are there, definitely it will show the adverse effect on the drug product. So then eating, drinking, chewing, smoking, and storing of food, alcohol, cigarettes, or personal medication, the production and the storage areas has to be minimized and prohibited particularly the eating, drinking, chewing, storing, alcohol, cigarettes, anything. Then one more important aspect is the wearing of jewelry in the production of the quality control area, and it has to be evaluated because it can be a safety hazard and a contamination issue also. The wearing of makeup should be evaluated because it can provide source of contamination, even makeup. And if there is an equipment malfunction or in case process deviation, personnel and the person who is responsible should immediately report to the supervisor. So if an individual is feeling well, is not feeling well or illness, has a medical problem or open lessons, and the person or individual has to report immediately to a that's the main thing in case of the personal responsibilities. And then key personal, let us see into the in detail few things. So including the head of production, the head of the quality control, and authorized person. So the authorized person is responsible for compliance with the either regulatory requirements or technically related to the quality of the finished products and the approval of the release of the finished products for sale. The key posts, that means just now as I brief, the head of the production unit, head of the QC, head of the QA, or any authorized person, they're all nothing but the key personnel. And the key post should be occupied by the full-time personals, not part-time. The head of the production and quality control should be independent of each other because they are different departments, both production area as well as the quality control area. The key personnel should possess the necessary qualification of a scientific education and for a practice, the and practical experience to exercise the independent professional judgment on problems encountered in the manufacture as well as the quality control of the pharmaceutical products. Then, what are the few the responsibility of the head of the production unit? Mainly, the head of the production units they have to ensure that whatever the products are manufactured or produced and stored, whether they are according to the appropriate documentation or not. And also they have to approve the instructions relating to the production operation, including the in-process control, IPCC, and ensure their strict implementation. And also to ensure that the production records are evaluated and as well as they are signed by the particular designated person. And check the maintenance of the department premises and equipment. Ensure that the appropriate process validation, both calibration and validation of the control equipment are to be performed and recorded and the reports should be made available. And to ensure that the required initial and continuing training of production personnel is carried out and adopted according to the needs of the industry. Then that is the one where the responsibility of the head of the production unit. Now let us look into the responsibility of the head of the quality control unit. So they have to approve or they may reject both starting material, even packaging materials, intermediates, bulk, finished products in relation to their specification. We evaluate the batch report. So in the QC department, they have the lot of specifications as per the apex bodies, so regulatory authorities. So not only for starting materials, they have even packaging. They have to approve packaging, intermediate, bulk, and finished. And also, they should ensure that all necessary testing is carried out, and they have to approve the sampling instructions, specification, test methods, and other quality control procedures. Also, they have to approve and monitor, analysis carried out under the contract. Check the maintenance of the department premises and the equipments wherever required. And also, they have to ensure that the appropriate validations, including those of analytical processes, calibrations of control equipment, are carried out. Also ensure that the required initial and continuing training of quality control personnel is carried out and adapted according to the. Then one more is the responsibility of the authorized person, because we have seen the head of the unit, production unit, quality control unit. Now the responsibilities of the authorized person. So here, what are the responsibilities? Implementation. What quality system? Implementation of the quality system. Whenever there is a, and then participation in the development of the company's quality manual, supervision of the regular internal audits, self inspections, oversight of the quality control department, participation in external audit, that means vendor audit. So both internal audit and external audit will be there always in any industry. The participation in the validation program also. And the authorized person should ensure the following requirements also have been met. The marketing authorization and the market manufacturing requirements for the products have been met or not, and the principles and guidelines of the GMP as laid down in the guidelines, which are published by the WHO, have been followed. Manufacturing and testing processes have been validated. Uh, all the necessary checks and tests have been performed or not. Also, uh, all necessary production and quality control documentation has been completed and endorsed by the competent authorities and supervisors, and also the appropriate audits, inspections, spot checks has to be carried out by an experienced as well as the training staff. And approval has been given by the head of quality control. Then responsibilities of the key personnel. Authorization of written procedures and other documents. Now we are talking about the responsibilities of the and monitoring and control of the manufacturing equipment, environment, process validation, calibration of the analytical procedures, then training, including the application and principles of the quality assurance, approval and monitoring of the suppliers of materials, approval and monitoring of the contract manufacturers also, then designation and monitoring of the storage conditions, particularly for both materials as well as the products, then evaluation of in-process quality control, as well as the retention of the records, inspection, investigation, and taking of samples to check the product quality. These are the few things which we have discussed just now, the personal responsibilities and how should be the organization as per the CGMP. And let us look into the training. What exactly the training? So if any person or anybody gets into an industry, pharmaceutical industry, so directly the manufacturer will not allow you to work directly to the required area. First, you have to training. Or if you are experienced, then it's a different matter. The training. The manufacturer should provide a proper training in accordance with the written program for all personnel. So besides the basic training on the theory and practice of GMP, the newly recruited persons or personnel should receive a training appropriate to the duties assigned to him or them or she, whatever it is. Forward. So then continuing training should also be given, and its practical effectiveness periodically should be assessed, and approved training programs should be available. The concept of quality assurance and all the measures which aids its understanding and implementation should be fully discussed during the training sessions. Training records should be kept wherever necessary and it should be maintained also. The person or personnel working in the areas where contamination is very dangerous, that means hazard, example, clean areas or areas where highly active, toxic, infectious, or sensitizing materials are handled and should be given wherever required by a specific training areas also. And visitors or any untrained or unauthorized personnel would preferably not to be taken into the production and the health control. This is unavoidable. They should be given relevant information in advance. And the prescribed protective clothing, they should be closely supervised, particularly in case of the personal hygiene. Consultant and the contract staff, whoever it is, as a contract or consultant, should be qualified or trained for the services they provide. So for this, the evidence should be included in the training records. So generally, the training, definitely who needs the training actually speaking. So let us see about that. The training definitely needs to be directed at three categories of the employees. One is employees who are new to the company, newly recruited. Then our existing employees already who are working when the nature or content of the job changes. Okay, that's there whenever they keep changing. Then existing employees whose performance at a particular task declines below required standards. If they are not performing their tasks and then as per the required standards for them, those who are already existing, they are also. So these are the three areas where the training is to be needed. The basic training should also be reinforced from time to time by ongoing training programs designed to ensure that the employee's performance, his skills, knowledge, attitudes remain up to the standard. For that reason, they have to go training. So, what are the different elements of training? So, an accurate description of the job or role. Very accurate description about your role and your job. And the specific training requirements for each job or each role. Training plan to accomplish the training because they'll design the training plan and you have to accomplish the training. Training materials that are applicable to each type of training. Then the qualified trainers to perform the training. Then evaluations to measure the effectiveness of the training. There should be evaluators also whether they are undergoing the effectiveness, highly effective or not, the training things. There is a evaluation also, and who and all went for training, whatever it is, the documentation record should be keeping system for storage and retrieval of training records as well as the materials. Okay, so those are the few elements of the training, and then areas of training. Means the introductory or background induction or orientation training for particularly for new employees. Then the GMP training, including training in hygienic practices, specific skills training. That means whenever there is a new machine or if a person wants to operate a machine, for them exclusive training will be given even for servicing the equipment also. These are the few areas where training is required. Then level 1, level 2, level 3. So in this, Broad general knowledge, that means the general introduction to GMP sections, then applications in level 2, applications of specific GMPs to the function area, then 3 applications of GMPs to a specific job. And what and all is given us whenever they enter into a job in an industry. First, they will be described about their job description or role. Then, whatever the training is to be given for them, they will be trained under them. Then, digital training plan. Then, appropriate training event. Then, even it will, after training also they will be evaluated. So, whatever the training is taken done, it has to be documented. And the qualified trainers definitely they'll train and they'll plan. Okay, so the is the approved and accurate training material. Then for the knowledge training designers, what and all is there? Everything has to be evaluated. This is the few things about the training. So we have discussed about today the organization personal responsibilities training as per the CGMP guidelines. Other things in the next class. Thank you. References will be given at the end of this chapter. Thank you.